Welcome to Trinity University, the Steerin Theater, and the KSAT Mayoral debate.
The city is projecting a $31 million deficit next year and a potentially $148 million deficit the following year. So as mayor, where would you make cuts?
I think that plans to add bike lanes when we have public safety needs would be an example of how we need to shift those priorities. I don't have anything against bike lanes, but proposing to spend $8 billion on bike lanes just doesn't seem like an appropriate way to use our money.
I think one of the areas, many of us read about the $1.4 million, for example, that the city subsidized for that direct flight to Frankfurt. Pet projects like that, that flight, was no longer operating just 6 months later. And so I think going through the budget with a fine-tooth comb to understand where are some of these other investments where the data doesn't necessarily show this is the best use of resources.
One powerful tool that you will have as mayor is the bully pulpit. So how would you use the mayor's bully pulpit to advocate for San Antonio? Should the mayor of San Antonio weigh in on state and national issues like school vouchers or abortion or immigration, or international issues like the war in Gaza? And how would you choose your battles? We'll start with Ms. Ortiz Jones.
I'm uniquely familiar with the key role that San Antonio plays in our national security. So I think it's really important that we think about the long term. What does Military City USA look like in 2040, 2050, right? As well as being very clear about the ways, again, in cuts to the VA are impacting not only the veterans that are getting fired as a result of those cuts, but also the decrease in services.
I would focus on education because we have this issue with our vouchers that's going on in Austin right now. Look, I'm all in favor of parental choice. I'm all in favor of competition. Competition is good for the consumer. It forces the person producing the service to do better, but not at the risk of defunding our police, our schools. We can't be doing that. We have to make sure that we have the proper funding. My wife is a public school teacher, so I want to make sure we work towards that.
There are giant looming questions about Project Marble. The plan to create a new downtown entertainment district, which includes a new Spurs stadium. We know we don't have all the data, especially on how taxpayer dollars will be used. We also agree that we don't want to lose the Spurs. But people wonder, who is downtown for anymore? Is it for tourists? Is it for business? Or is it for locals? Please rank these three.
Business, tourists, and locals are on the same level for me. Okay, it's really important, to your point, that we do everything we can to fight to keep our Spurs and everything possible to also make sure that San Antonio gets a good deal. I've been very clear. I think we're actually premature in talking about some of the how much the city needs to pony up when there hasn't been nearly enough discussion of how the city is ultimately going to benefit. I've been very clear. We need answers to 3 questions. How much is it going to cost? Who's going to pay? And how is the city going to benefit? And then we can talk about the city's portion of that. My opponent, I know, feels differently about this. San Antonio Express News asked, and he said he thinks up to 50% of city funding should go toward paying for the new Spurs Arena. When we don't have all of this information, as you rightly point out, we haven't actually talked about the community benefit agreements yet. I think it's really premature.
Here's how I rank it: jobs, jobs, jobs. We have to make sure that we have jobs for our locals. This is a jobs creation program. This is an economic development program. It could be a game changer. And just like we invest taxpayer money in training our people, I think we should also invest taxpayer money in creating jobs, good paying jobs. Downtown is a great place for tourists, for locals, and for business. We have to make sure that we create an environment for all 3. You're right, I don't want to lose the Spurs. And they could go somewhere else, just like it happened in Seattle. They went to Oklahoma City. But that doesn't mean that our taxpayers are going to lose out. So we just have to understand what are the consequences of not investing in a Project Marble. Are we going to lose out on conventions? We are a tourist destination. We're a tourism city.